Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Friday evening, which means we're going to talk about coping with life, in particular, how to eat on a tight budget, which is what we do on Friday evenings. We talk about meal prepping and basically seeing how we can stretch our dollars a little bit more. As we know, meat is getting suddenly very much more expensive, and we need to be aware that. We need to be more concerned about how we eat meat and what we do with it. Hi there, Jeannie. Good to see you as well. I would like to say that it's been a fun week for me. For those of you who missed the lunchtime broadcast, believe you me, um, there were. Uh, Talk about coping with feelings. I had a really tough week in terms of what was going on in my life, and I described it all in the lunchtime broadcast. But it was just like I had to learn a great deal of patience. And funny enough, by learning that patience, or rather executing that patience, saved me about $400. So just to let you know that it has been a really challenging week, but I'm feeling great. And part of the reason that I'm feeling great is because I have now lost 7.5 pounds this year without dieting, but rather, through food choices and things. And as you're going to see this evening, part of my uh, way of doing it, all right, I didn't want to go on a diet. I still wanted to eat exactly what I wanted to eat. But part of the whole system is, but watch your portions, all right? I really wanted to be aware what is a portion and try to keep within that. And does it work? You bet it does. As I said, I've without dieting, I still have ice cream. I still, went out to dinner and had poutine and um, French fries, you name it, and ice cream with apple pie. Um, but I'm doing it as part of a total lifestyle change so that when I do go out, I can thoroughly enjoy myself and not feel guilty about it. And nor does it spike my blood sugar too much because I'm diabetic. So here we go. What happened to me this week was I opened up my freezer and I saw some turkey in there, but the turkey looked, it's difficult to see in that picture, but it looked like it had a freezer burn on it. So I thought we'd discuss that because I think it's one of those things that we all wonder about. Should I be eating meat that uh, has had freezer burn to some extent? So first thing I wanted to talk about was what is freezer burn, and then whether we can still eat the meat that has had that happen to it. So if you like, the easiest way to describe freezer burn is when the meat has over dehydrated in the freezer. And the reason I was pretty sure, you, as I said, unfortunately you couldn't see it in this picture, and I don't think I've got a second one. Let me just check. um, No, I do. Surprise, surprise. But I still don't think you can see it. No. Anyway, at the end of it, at the very corners here, I could see ice crystals inside the packaging. Now, it's very unusual for me to put anything in my freezer that isn't double bagged. And I didn't double bag that. So, I was having a day that day when I tucked that into the freezer. So the whole thing that I wanted to check with you, my viewers, is would you eat meat that has had freezer burn? Yes or no, and why? All right, so let's see what you feel about that. If you opened up something as I did, opened up the freezer and saw what I saw, would you eat the meat or not? And the reason I ask that is because the my immediate reaction to it was, oh gosh, it's got freezer burn. I need to chuck it. And then before I did that, of course, being me, I went, let me double check that before I do. Why? Because that was about $9 Canadian in turkey breast meat. And I thought that was really important. Hi to Jody. Jody, thank you so much for coming. Um, I'm amazed you're not asleep, Jody. And while I'm doing that, for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she was away living her life at lunchtime today, which is really unusual. And Jeannie so kindly stepped in and played admin for me at lunchtime, for which I was very, very grateful, Jeannie. Thank you so much. And so this is the whole thing. So if you have freezer burn, let me know. Do you throw your meat away if you have freezer burn? I actually went to the computer and I decided I would double check it, right? Because it's important, especially when meat is so expensive these days. Jody's saying I'd eat it if it could be hidden in stew or soup. Yep, what I heard was, although freezer burn can affect the look of the meat, it does not affect its value, nutritional value, nor does it affect, that it is off. Now, if you've had a freezer that died on you and the meat thawed and then refroze, then obviously, that needs to huck. But this wasn't that case. This was just like this had got a bit of freezer burn because I hadn't double wrapped it. And so I went, okay, I can still use it, and still has exactly the same nutritional value. However, before we do that, I thought I'd show you this incredible present that, I went out on Monday. I went out to dinner with Marnie, and she bought me as my belated Christmas present, which is a board to put oil and vinegar type stuff in and bread. Now, there's probably a fancy word for that, but it's just oil and vinegar dip, And part of the reason I wanted to talk about that is because oil and vinegar and a couple of bits of bread is a really tasty snack, but it also is very good for you. Do you know why? So here is my homemade oil and vinegar, and all I've got in here, I just shook it up a little bit, is a little bit of virgin olive oil, a little bit of balsamic vinegar. And if you don't have balsamic vinegar in your house, you need to get some, seriously. And I've also got in there a little bit of honey and a few cumin seeds. Let me just get some more so you can see. And by the way, it makes the greatest dressing for salads. A little bit of raw honey and some cumin seeds. And that is what a cumin seed looks like. Used a lot in Indian cooking, but it really has a great taste to it. So what I'm going to do is just throw a few more of those in there. All right, to give it a bit more taste. And then I'm also going to put some black pepper in there. Here we go. Anybody getting hungry yet? I've got some leftover bread pieces, sourdough bread pieces. And all I'm going to do, this is breakfast, by the way. This is to dip it in that and so good. So what I want you all to understand is that my mother would be horrified that I'm talking to you with food in my mouth. She's been dead a long time. I can still hear her. However, that's so good. If I want to bring that up even another notch as a snack, how about adding a bit of Parmesan? Now, you're probably saying, how can that be healthy, Sal? Right? You got bread, you got oil and vinegar and Parmesan. You'll be amazed how healthy this is. And I was quite surprised when I looked it up. And what I discovered is just having a little snack. How big was that piece of bread? I've still got some left. How big was that piece of bread? Not big, right? Um, what makes you think that it's really tasty? Is it the way I keep going back for a bit more? Okay. Well, I will get back to that later. But what a great present. What a great present to receive, right? My experiment of the week, you all know I like to do my experiments, was could I make my own sprouts for my sandwiches? And I did. Anybody want to know how to do it? Look at that. I can't believe I did it, quite honestly. And how do they taste? Actually, I'm going to make bread tomorrow, so I'll let you know. Oh, I'll let you know right now. Awesome. So how many of you have always wanted to know how to do that? Or how many of you are now going, that's a great idea. Why don't I do that? How does it taste? How do you know? I keep going back for a bit more. Isabel's saying that she had sprouted grains yesterday, but she didn't know how to do it. Okay. What I did, I've got a second lot growing now, ready for when I finish that, which will probably be this evening. There is a fancy way of doing it, Isabel. Do you want the fancy way that will cost you a lot of money, or would you like the cheap version that I've now worked out? It requires, like anything that's good, it requires nurturing. So I just want to let you know that. The cheap version, that's what I thought. Okay. Do you have any coffee filters in your house? The first thing you need is some seeds. I actually did buy some special sprouting seeds, organic, online. I've got to admit that. I did buy those. And because they're organic and online and everything, that's it. Okay, so what I did was I cut a piece of coffee filter and put it at the bottom. And then I sprinkled some seeds. Okay. I sprinkled some seeds in the bottom about 2 days ago. And what I do is I have a little spritzer bottle on my countertop here. And every morning when I get up, I pick it up and I just spritz it. Don't want it soaking wet. I just want to make sure it's damp. And then during the day, if I look at it and I can if it looks like it's still damp, it's fine. If it looks like it's starting to dry out a bit, I just spritz it a bit more. Do you understand? Very simple. Just every time you go into the kitchen, check on your sprouts. And I do the same thing, funny enough. These sprouts have been sitting around here for a couple of days because I wanted to show you, and I purposely didn't eat them. It took a lot of self-control. But what I do the same with them, which is just when I see them, okay, if they look like they're drying out a bit, I just give them an extra spritz. So they're still growing. Do you think you could manage that? Do you think that sounds really difficult? Because you know me and my experiments. I've always wanted to do it. And now I'm going, why did I wait a lifetime to learn how to do that? That was so simple. However, I am doing, you know me, I am now doing the bigger experiment. And that is with mung beans. And that's a whole different story. And I'll talk to you about that another day. So the main thing with the seeds, I just keep them damp, all right, and eat them. So why is it a good idea to eat sprouted seeds? Anybody know? We all know it's good for us, but why? And why did I buy organic seeds rather than, other? So mainly, I didn't want there to be any pesticides on the seeds. These are not going to last until tomorrow. So that's what I did. Okay, so let's carry on. What I've got is I've got a meal prepping form here. And by the way, the reason I love this, and thank you, Jody, for introducing me to this, is that you can cook in this and you can let it cool in this and then you can freeze in it. It is an amazing thing. Yeah, Jeannie's saying sprouts have always been easy to grow. Like everything else in life, Jeannie, everything's easy once you know how to do it, and you've succeeded in doing it. Succeeded. How many of you got that pun that I didn't mean to do? Succeed it. Yeah. Okay. So I've got these. Now, what I've got is the meat. Let me get that out of the fridge. So here is the meat that I defrosted. And just so you know, here it is, a pack of meat. And so we all talk the same language. It's just about 0.4, about 0.4 of a kilogram, which would be about 0.8 of a pound. I paid $8.28 Canadian for it, which I thought was really good. The question I have is, how many portions should I get out of that weight? Do you know? Now, some of you do because you're regular watchers. But the question is, how many portions should I get out of that? Anybody want to do that math before I change it? And once you realize that, you go, first of all, understanding that if you've got meat that is freezer burned, all you need to do is just cover it up a bit. When I say, as Jody so rightly said, you just want to disguise it a bit. I wouldn't serve it as a straight bit of turkey, right? I want to disguise it a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 small turkey breasts, and I'm going to make a number of meals. The question is, how many? I'm not seeing a lot of response to that, people. Give it a guess. How many servings from just under a pound of meat? Turkey meat. Dum 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 da 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 da. And the answer is, all right. So Isabel, thank you, Isabel. She's saying 4, but I am certain that you will make it more. Kimmy also says 4. Okay. So this would make 4 servings for you guys. Jeannie also says 4. All right. Interesting. What do we know? A serving of meat is the size of your palm. Okay, not your hand, but your palm. And so based on that, and the fact that we're going to disguise it, we're going to make it work hard, I think that we will probably end up with 6 to 9 portions. And that will, as long as you understand that a portion to me of food is 1 cup in total. Isabel's going, I knew it. Yeah. All right, so let's make sure we understand that we're all talking the same thing. Here is my scale. Okay. And I'll even get generous, and I will show you what 4 ounces. It should actually be 3, but I'm going to show you what 4 ounces would look like. Okay. So you're saying that you would turn this into 2 portions? The total weight of this is, just want to make sure it's in there properly. Funny enough, the total weight of this is about just under 4 ounces, right? So one of these is 4 ounces. But I'm a great believer in, that's if I'm going to, I personally would probably have this much in one meal, not this much. That's how come I've lost the weight. And Jeannie's saying, won't some of it shrink? Of course it will. So now what are we going to do with it to make it a good, healthy meal? So this is like that. I'm just going to do it so we can all start on the same page here. And that is just under 8. I think this probably will be, let's see. So all 3 of them, it looks so small, doesn't it? Yes. All 3 of them add up to 12 ounces. So you could get, the correct serving would be 4 out of that. So those of you who said 4, yep, that's what it is. But I will probably make a whole lot more because of what I've learned. Okay. Now, so that's the first thing. We know what a portion is. The second thing, our rule is always eat the rainbow. So I am busy for Lent. Thank you, Jody. This is a great experiment. For Lent, I'm trying not to buy extra vegetables. I'm trying to eat out of my freezer and not my big freezer. I'm trying to eat the vegetables in my small freezer, which is huge, my small freezer here in the kitchen. And what I'm surprised about is it takes a long time. However, what I did is out of that freezer, I got a rainbow of colors in frozen vegetables. I got onions, tomatoes, some broccoli stems. I got some, hi Sharon, I got some corn, some leeks, some carrot. I'll probably add a bit more carrot, and some chickpeas. All right. So I got the rainbow right there. All right, Sharon, not a problem. Great to have you around. Good to see you. So there we've got eat the rainbow. We've got the meat. And so the next thing is I'm going to attempt to make 3 different meals out of it, 3 different sorts of food. So I'm going to get out my I just want to release that a bit. Okay, so here is my crepe maker that does really well as a cooking device for me. So we're going to turn that on. We don't need it very hot. But in the meantime, I'm going to take these turkey breasts. I'm going to put some pepper. And it is Friday, so on Fridays I'm allowed to add salt, although I don't normally. So I'm going to get some salt. This is a mix of lemon pepper type salt, so got all the goodies in it, so I'm going to throw that in there. And it's turkey. I think I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. If I can find it. There we go. We'll just throw some paprika in there. And I'm just going to sort of a little bit of oil. Some virgin olive oil here. About 3 spritzes. And now I'm just going to mix that up. And the easiest way to mix it up is just to keep turning it onto itself. Just spread those herbs around a bit, the spices. Yum. Looks good. And then now you'll notice that I've cut a barbecue mat into the shape of my crepe maker so that when it needs to be clean, I just take the barbecue mat off and put it in the dishwasher. Well, I rinse it off and then I then put it in the dishwasher. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to nuke the vegetables. Remember, these are all leftover vegetables from when I was cooking other things. And what I do is I freeze them. And then when I'm cooking something like this, I just bring out an assortment and add them to a meal. So I'm just going to put a plate over the top. I don't want to totally cook them because we're going to be adding them in, and when I just want to cook it long enough so that there's no contamination in there. And what we will do is we will mix that in with other things. Now, the question is, if I want it to go farther, then obviously I'm going to use slightly less meat and add other good things in with it. So one of the things I thought I might do is turkey and baked beans as a sort of chili type thing. What do you think? All right. Now, I can either leave the turkey as it is, and I will probably cut it into small chunks in a minute, but I can either leave the turkey in small chunks or I can mince it if that's what I feel like doing. But basically, I'm going to use baked beans with it as well, so that's like a chili dish. Then for another dish, I'm going to add condensed mushroom soup to it. With the vegetables, obviously. All right, so now that's a totally different sort of meal. Now, what I love about cooking in these 1-cup containers is that when I pull out the 1 cup in the evening, I get to choose, do I want to eat like a stew, a casserole, or do I want soup? And do you understand? Because it's 1 cup, I can just wait for it to thaw, which doesn't take very long. And then if I want to have soup, maybe soup and salad that night, I will just take this and blend it and turn it into soup and thoroughly enjoy it. All the taste is there. Or I will just thaw it and then have it in my bowl, which isn't here. Here's my bowl. Hello, where are you, bowl? Oh, must be in the dishwasher. That's part of it. Oh. I will find it. This is what I call my dinner bowl. And I just have a white bowl that goes inside here, which I will find eventually. But basically, my idea of a meal was that white bowl full up to the top. Now, and I want to say it's about 2.5 cups. Now I can do it with just 1 cup and be happy. So that's really good. Question is this even on? Yeah. Why isn't it on? Okay, people. There we go. And the reason it wasn't on is because when I pulled it like this, I disconnected it. Now we're going. Yay. All right, so now then, what I'm going to do is I've got here a white chalk pen, and I really recommend that. And what I'm going to do, because you always think you're going to remember, but you're not going to. So this is going to be with baked beans. So I'm writing badly. I'm writing BB2, like turkey with baked beans, all right? So this I'll just put BBT because I know what that is now. So we're going to do 2 of them like that. Maybe more, we'll see. But then we're definitely going to do mushroom turkey. And it's going to be MT. All right, so now I've written it. You see that? On here. Now, when it's all finished freezing and this goes into the dishwasher, that writing will disappear. But in the meantime, we're going to know what we're dealing with. Excuse me, everybody. I did take antihistamine today. Right, so now what are we going to do? This is such fun. I love doing these things. So these, there we go. That's cooking now. All right, now then, I'm not sure what the price of turkey is at the moment where you live. So this was about just under a kilo or 0.8 of a kilo or just under a pound, just over a pound of turkey meat. So check what the price is. Jody made a very good point recently. Because of this trouble in Ukraine, the price of grain we know will go up. That means flour will go up, and anything that is related to that sort of stuff is going to go up in price quite a bit. But that means that we're going to have an awful lot of farmers who can't afford to feed their livestock. So Jody made the point, and I think it's worth us all thinking about that. Be aware that there could be a lot of pork and beef going on sale within the next few months while farmers downsize their herds. Does that make sense? And it's very sad because they had just started to regrow their herds or repopulate their herds after the pandemic. But Jody made the point that, that's going to be a situation coming up for us next. So if you've got room in your freezer, fill it up with whole roasts. You remember that, the bigger the roast, the better. Rather than, don't buy steaks, buy a whole sirloin. Don't buy a chops, buy a whole cut of roast, and then you chop it up to what size you want. And you'll be amazed how much money you can save doing that. Don't buy one chicken, or rather, don't buy chicken breasts alone. Buy a whole chicken and cook it yourself. Now, the chances are that a lot of you are like me and you'll say, yeah, but I only like the white meat. Yeah, I like chicken breast and I like turkey breast. So you can either choose to pay the extra to do that, or you can say, I will cook a whole chicken, but all the dark meat that I don't like so much, I'm going to put into other things where I won't notice it. For example, what we're doing today. Okay, makes sense? So you'll still have a very nutritional meal, but you won't really care that it's dark meat chicken in there or whatever. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up the first can. By the way, I buy baked beans by the flat, by the dozen. All right, when I buy baked beans, I never buy one can. What about you guys? The difference in price is amazing. So these are baked beans. They're just the generic local stores, generic brand. And what do we know? Where do they get them from? The guys that charge you twice as much. So I think each can was about $1. I think that's what I ended up paying for them. So this is baked beans. I'm going to start our meal prepping. We know that anything that's in a can has already been cooked. Agreed? Canning requires cooking at high heat. So in my meal prepping system, I'm going to start by putting in baked beans. Okay, there we go. A layer of baked beans. There you go. So that's about a quarter of a cup. And then we know we also need the vegetables. And remember that we get really smart with this, all right? Because what we do is we all know we need vegetables, but most of us don't really enjoy them that much. So my cheat is I take some of my vegetables, like this one, tomatoes I can see, and chickpeas and broccoli. You take about half of this. Again, carrots. And I'm going to put some water in here. Just a bit. And now I'm going to blend it. now I'm just going to strain the water out. Okay, doesn't need to all be out because it's going to add to the juice. So now I've got lots of good vegetables there, but I won't necessarily see it when it's all finished. But I know that I'm eating the rainbow. Make sense? It's just mushed up. Okay. Now I'm just going to move the meat around here because we're getting some nice crusty stuff on the barbecue mat. That's the tasty stuff. Okay, and we want that. It's going to taste really good. But it also tells us that the meat is nearly ready. Yum. So what I'm going to do is to get my tester out. And interesting. Lionel also likes the idea of baked beans. By the way, it's maple baked beans, tell Lionel. You know, the Canadian thing. I've got maple baked beans and turkey. All right, so now we're going to change ground beef, veal, chicken. Same thing as turkey. So we need it up to 165 to be medium. So that's the least that we want. So which do you think is the fattest one? Maybe that one. Put it in there and see what we're at. 78, 92, 112, 145. That's what I said to you. I thought it, yeah, 174. It is done. All the better for being a maple, Jody. Did he laugh? I'm sure he's proud of me. For those of you who don't know, Lionel has Canadian background. All right, so we know that the turkey didn't take very long at all. Yum. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take that off the meat. And as I nearly made a big mistake there, people. And now, as I said to you, this is the interesting bit. Cleanup. This is cleanup for me. I push this over to the side and I take the bit that's dirty, and that's the bit that will go in the water. So by the time we finish the broadcast, all those bits will be loose and I'll pop it into the dishwasher. Cleanup done. In the meantime, I have a clean thing. Did I turn it off? I think so. So I'll try not to burn myself now while I put that away. And one of my knives is sharper than the other. So we're saying that this would be, let's put that in half. This would be 4 portions. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that would be 4 portions, right? That's what you were saying. You guys would call that a portion. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to cut up this piece. Quality control. Mm-hmm. That's good. Okay. Now the protein is good for you, so it doesn't matter if you make it into, I'm probably going to use a little bit less than that. I don't know, maybe that works. There's quite a lot of, let's do that anyway then. Let's do it the way that you guys said. Now, you will know that you've got your portion control under control when you realize that your meat becomes the added part, all right? The main thing on your plate is vegetables, and then your meat is just like, okay, I allow myself 3 ounces of meat, and it tastes so good, I want to tell you. So now what I'm going to do here, because I can, is make this really tasty. What did I do with it? Here we go. I also thawed out a little bit of that apple cider, by the way, that really works well. And I'm just going to add some into there. 2 things. Number 1, we know when it freezes, it's going to lose some of its liquid. And so I like to add a bit of extra liquid in. Make sense? And now I'm going to mix it up a bit. Apparently all over my countertop. So there we have the first 2. Now my question is, could you eat that one of those as a meal? All right. If so, you have learnt portion control. I know Jody could, and probably have leftovers. All right. So now then we'll do the second one. And the second one we're going to start, we've got some baked beans left here, but we'll use that a different way later. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our mushroom soup. Okay, this is condensed. So again, I bought it on sale, bulk. Mushroom soup is so useful to have in your larder. So I'm putting about 1/4 cup of mushroom soup. in there to start. And then cut up some bits. Oh, forgot the vegetables. Rainbow. And this time, that's a bigger bit. I'm going to cut that up a little bit. This time I'm going to put whole vegetables in rather than cutting them all up. So I know this is a balanced meal. Okay. Let me just cut this up a bit. Put it in there. And it's a balanced meal because we have got protein, that's the meat, and the beans are protein as well. We've got vegetables. And you will notice I don't have any potato or any pasta or anything else. I can choose whether I want to have those things. If I haven't had any carbs recently, I might choose to cook up, a third of a cup of pasta or something to go with it. All right, so let's put that in there. That in there. I can tell that I normally would only put that much in. Okay, I can do that. And then what are we going to top it up with? I think I'm going to top it up with some interesting. Jeannie's saying, sorry, I just got Jeannie's saying I always stock at least 2 creamed soups and plenty of tomato soup. Yeah, I don't think you can ever go wrong if you're trying to save money or not. They are so useful for making a quick meal, aren't they? Now, I've got some prepared full cream milk here. I say prepared because I did it from powdered milk, full cream powder. So I'm going to add that in there. So this is definitely going to be a cream soup. Or rather, a more creamy meal. And remember that the mushroom soup was condensed already. So that's good. So now we've got 4 portions done. I'm going to let those cool, and they're going to go into the freezer in there just as they are. They will freeze overnight. Tomorrow I'll take them out of there and just drop them into individual bags. Easy? I think so. So 4 meals right there. But we've got more. So let's carry on. Same idea. These are 1 cup portions, but we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to put some baked beans in one. Bottom, yeah, 2, I think. There we go. And then we'll put condensed soup. Get some milk. easy. Now, I know I've got some leftover roasted vegetables, so I'm going to add that in. So here I've got some zucchini, some peppers. Oh, a little bit of onion. So that's what's going to go in there. But first we will cut up some more chicken. Okay, so that looks good, and we'll put in some vegetables. Those roasted vegetables are so good, aren't they? All right, so let's keep going, moving forward. We've now got, that's 4, 5, 6 meals done. Helps if I use the right tools. Did I put meat on there? Yes, I did. Oops. Okay, and then the last one. These last two are a little short on vegetables, but what I will do is when I thaw them, I will just add more to it, right? So that I know that I've got enough. So now we've made 8 servings, and I still have meat left. So I'm going to cut that up. Like that. And I'm going to let this cool. And that will also go in the freezer. Now you're probably wondering, what are you going to do with that, Sal? Well, let me tell you. I'm thinking that some chicken on here would be really nice. Quite a bit of it too. And guess what? When I opened up the roasted vegetables, I also had a couple of pieces of steak. Oh, an onion. Oh, we like that. We wanted more onion for this one. Thank you. So we got some steak. So we've got bread and dip, and now we've got protein. So now all we need here are some color of the rainbow stuff, right? Smorgasbord. Right, what should we add to that? Let's have a look. What have we got? I'm thinking some peppers would go really well with it. And some celery. By the way, this celery must be a month old. Are you going to see that the outside of it is beginning to look pretty sad? So we're going to throw that away. But the good news is the rest of it is fine. It just needs to be rinsed. Oh, does anybody want to know about the celery that we were growing from the stalk of another one? Do any of you want to see how it's doing? I'm just going to put this in some water while we talk. Let me get it for you. So look. Isn't that amazing? It's just the bottom of the celery. I didn't throw it away. I just have some face cloth that is sitting in water, and it keeps pulling up moisture as it needs it. So how many of you know that I use it for garnishing things, make it look pretty? What do you think? And we'll also use some of the light for garnish as well. And obviously this one, thank you, is this one will be the next one I start. And you're probably wondering, how big will this grow? My question is, will I plant it or leave it here so we can see? I think I'll leave it here for a couple of months, and then seeing how it's doing, I'll make a decision. But can you see how healthy it is, how green and healthy? And all it's doing is pulling the moisture it needs from the bottom. It's amazing how much it's sucked up this week. So we'll give it a bit more. Here we go. Now, can you all see that what I'm doing is building myself a really nice snack dinner? I've got bread, because it's Friday. I've got bread, and I've got peppers, and I've got protein. Oh, no, no more baked beans. They're done. No more soup. That's done. It's missing a couple of colors. Let me see what I can find. We know if we're eating the rainbow, it's got to be healthy. So we've got some tomatoes that are just about past their prime. That's nice red. Let's put some more yellow pepper in there. That looks awesome to me. And you do know that I am going to take a fork and dip it in the oil and vinegar, right? This is going to be one messy meal, but such fun. So how simple was this? All right? We've got 8 servings plus the leftovers I'm going to use for my dinner. I'm going to add a bit more garnish on there just because we've got some sprouts. Why not? Anything else I should be adding? What do you think? Now, I want you to stop for a moment and think. We have spent just over an hour. All right, Jeannie, good night. Thank you for being here. We've spent just over an hour. We've meal prepped 8 meals, 9 meals, because this is tonight's meal. How simple was that in 1 hour? And you understand that the way that I did the 8 individual ones, they're not all exactly the same. Remember, some of them have mushroom as a base, mushroom soup as a base. Some of them got baked beans as a base. So they've got, some of them have got frozen vegetables that are just steamed as a base. Some of them are roasted vegetables, totally different tastes, as you know. So in 1 hour, we produced 9 meals from some freezer burn turkey. What do you think? And the interesting part to me is the reason I am having difficulty emptying my freezers is I keep making, on a Friday night, I keep making 8 more meals or 9 more meals, whatever it is each week. And, you know, there are only 7 days in the week. So I now have a totally full freezer. And I, you know, Jody, how many more days of Lent do we have? Now, I must admit, Jody, I have failed on the do not buy fresh produce during Lent because I still buy peppers. But most of it, quite honestly, is left over. I think I did buy pepper. But, you know, I've got some more celery that I haven't even touched yet, a whole head of celery. Why? To buy a whole head of celery is so much cheaper than buying 2 or 3 stalks. It's worth it. Even if I end up having to throw half of it away, which I don't because I freeze it and then add it into meals like this, you know, it just is so more economical to do it that way. So there you go, guys. What do you do with freezer burned meat. You look at it and make sure it's not bad. You know, there's a difference between freezer burn and bad. Okay, Jody, I don't know what that means. It's very interesting. I feel stupid now. uh, I need a translation. Anyway, so the point is, can we eat well, healthily, balanced? Oh, thank you. All right, 21 days left of Lent. All right. So I realized by accident that I have failed because I did buy some more of my, what I call my staples. All right. Um, I have bought, more peppers because I eat those so much. You know, they don't go to waste at all. But I have been eating, no problem, Jody. Um, I have been eating from this one freezer, and I'm going to take a picture for you. Oh, by the way, Jody, in case you're wondering, let me go measure. Hold on. I can't remember where the potato was last year, the potato tar. I think it was about here last week. It's now lower boob height. Isn't that amazing? I'm going to have to put yet another thing on top of it. So that is good to know. Anything else that you wanted an update on, let me know. So here I go. I've been doing everything I can. I was going to take the picture. Everything I can to empty my freezer in here. Hold on one second. I wanted to show you a picture. Wait a minute. Nearly there. All right. So I've been eating out of that freezer since the beginning of Lent, as I agreed. And so here's the story. Let me go back one. This is after all these days of eating out of it. I now have, come on, help me here. Okay. The bottom level has very little room. You can see a little bit of daylight in that corner. Can you see that? There's a little bit of daylight right here. But other than that, it is still chock-a-block. It has another drawer that pulls out. And that drawer has got a fair amount of ice in it, but also very little room. And this is after this many, how many days of Lent have we had? 10 or more? It's I think I'm going to find out that the contents of this freezer alone could probably keep me going for one season. In which case, I now know that I've probably got a year's worth of food in my in my house, in my freezers, because I worked out that 1/3 of my big freezer uh, is about a season's worth of food. Wow, amazing! All right, so that's it for tonight. What did you enjoy? Do you want me to carry on doing these? Started March the 2nd. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah. So we've had a couple of weeks of it. It doesn't look like I've been eating out of there for 2 weeks, does it, Jody? By the way, I've had burger. You remember when we made burgers that time? I had burgers. I remember that. What else? I had. How many of you remember we did that sort of apple cider curry type thing? Oh, that was so good. I want to tell you, that was so good. I stopped and went, oh, golly gee, I got to make that again. So some of these things that we've made on Friday night have turned out to give me such joy. Before I finish, for those of you who've got Netflix, and I don't often do this, but I have to tell you, if you've got Netflix and you have got the Adam Project on it, do watch it. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. What's not to love about Ryan Reynolds? His timing, his comedic timing is just amazing. And there's a kid in that thing that you're just going to fall in love with. And I want to tell you, I liked it so much that I watched it one night and then the next night I watched it again. Now, I don't normally do that with movies. And you know something? The second time I watched it, I enjoyed it just as much. Jody said, loved everything. You've been doing a wonderful job eating from the freezer and you're making tasty meals. I'm doing my best to do that. Although I have to admit, I now realize that that turkey did come from the big freezer. Why? Because most of the stuff in this freezer is pre-cooked, right? It's stuff we've already cooked. Now, how many of you are going, Sal, if your freezers are that full, how are you going to freeze what we made tonight? The answer is slowly. Why? Because I will freeze one set of 4 tonight because I don't think I got room in my freezer for both. And then I will repack this freezer with that 4. And then I will freeze the second set of 4 the next night and then pack that into the big freezer ready for, the fall. So there we go. This is DearMamaSal saying, it's not that we need to starve ourselves to eat well. We just need to reduce the portions and we can lose weight. I'm 7.5 pounds down by eating 1 cup of food in the evening. Jody taught me it was possible. And boy, did I know that. My goal always was, my first sort of major goal was I would like my stomach not to go out farther than my boobs. Because when I started, my stomach was out here. All right. Now I'm not breathing in. That's breathing in. But look, I'm almost level now. So it's possible to do. And I assure you, when I stood on the scale this morning and saw that I had dropped as much as I did this week, I actually almost cried because it's doable. I just need to keep doing the right things. And this is the week. Remember, when I dropped all this weight this week, this is the same week that I had apple pie and ice cream with Marnie, that I had battered fish and poutine with Marnie. And then we had an extra side of fries that we shared. And I still lost all that weight. So we can do this, people. Jody, for all you have taught me about intermittent fasting, I decided today I wasn't going to eat until after this broadcast. How many of you are going, what? But here's what I'm going to do. How many of you know I'm going to thoroughly enjoy snacking on this? And there's nothing harmful in that, right? It's all good food. And then afterwards, I'm going to have an ice cream cone. And then maybe I'll have crackers and cheese later. You see, it's Friday. Friday is I can have whatever I want. But why would I not eat these things up and thoroughly enjoy them while I'm binge watching whatever it is I'm going to watch? All right, everybody, thank you for your time. Know that we can do this. We just need to get into the habit of doing. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for being here. Jeannie, if you pick up this bit when you do, thank you for all your help today. Jody, congratulations. For all of you, you need to know that Jody went out today. And that's a major thing for Jody. It's not a small thing for Jody to go out. All right. She has mobility problems. She is not well. She is high risk in terms of if she gets an infection or something. So, a lot of things that made not going out much easier for her. And so therefore, Jody, a big round of applause and a huge hug for doing it. Lionel, hope your arm gets better soon. And I keep praying for that. But the thing is, look at what you guys have done with all the obstacles in the way this month. And you have done such a great job, both of you. I'm really proud of you. This is Dear Mama Sal say, we'll see you on Sunday, but only if I can find my mouse. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody, for your help, as usual. And thanks to all the viewers for being there.